Hey YouTube, and thank you for watching Junkworks DIY Garage. Well, first of all, you'll notice the fan sound probably in the background, and you'll have to live with it because it's hot. So, second of all, this is my 04 Jeep Liberty. And I went in, had all the warranty stuff done on it, or recall stuff, not warranty stuff, recall stuff done on it. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of take a look and see what all, if any, they did. And I know they did at least one thing, but I'm kind of curious. So I'm going to start out back here with this hitch on the back here. And now I took the old one off, and in the midst of doing that, it did break one of the bolts. So I'm curious if they actually fixed that or just slapped it up on there and didn't worry about putting the bolt
Dodge,
in. No?
you disappointed me. Mopar, whatever you want to call yourself. Got a bolt there, got a bolt there. And even though there's a decent amount sticking out, he still didn't go ahead and do it. Use that for the purposes it's supposed to be used for and the amount of weight it's supposed to hold, I'd assume that one bolt right there probably is several hundred pounds worth of weight that is for. So I'm going to call them up and see what they have to say, and we'll see what happens after this.
Alright, the next thing they were supposed to do is the control arms underneath here. So let's take a look at those and see what they look like. Alright, well, they're 1 for 2 it looks like. Use the old bolts instead of putting new ones in, but it's in a much beefier full arm here, control arm, and they used a new bolt up there for the anti-sway bar, and it does look like they did the other side as well. Also does seem like they used the old fasteners for everything though, but that's a much beefier product there, which is nice. Alright, does that, I don't know, does that look like a new ball joint? Does that look like anybody's taking a wrench to anything under here? And something else, it said they looked it over and everything was fine. Well, that outer tie rod end is about shot, and that outer tie rod end is shot. So that right there, any mechanic that's worth his salt, so to speak, should at least tell somebody about and make sure the customer knows. Also, that ball joint doesn't appear like it's had anything done to it either. And yet again, I'm pretty sure it wasn't the upper ones, and it doesn't look like the upper ones have had anything done to them either. So I'm pretty pissed. The service department there, I'm going to call them. We'll see how things go, and debating on that, we'll see what kind of video comes out here. Alright, I got the paperwork here. I went and I called them, and I just had to leave a message because they weren't answering their phones. Now, right here, it says steering and steering linkage. I believe the outer tie rod ends are part of that. I could be wrong because I'm not a real mechanic. Check! Good. Green means good. Now, the only thing I can think of is this guy thinks green is bad. I'm really pissed off right now. I realize I just can't say anything. I'm that upset right now at the fact that this is what happens whenever you have anybody else do your work, or pay somebody to do your work, whether you pay or not. Yes, I did not pay for this work, but it still should have been done right, and it still should have took my safety and my family's safety into consideration. And this language, but this jerk was just there to do his job and go home, and he didn't even do that half of that right. He went home. All right, YouTube, we're moving on here. I have since called the Dodge dealership where I went and had my recall stuff done, and I am correct. The guy found them in his toolbox, the lower ball joints. So I'm pretty darn upset about this. I'm not going to say that the guy is lying about finding them in his toolbox, but here, I have a piece of paperwork here. Not going to show it too closely because it has information on it. But they checked engine oil okay, transmission okay, brake reserve okay, window washer, blah blah blah, all the way down, power steering. Everything says good. I know for a fact the power steering has something a little bit weird on it. I don't know for a fact. I'm not going to say for a fact, but it feels funny, and it could just be I'm not used to that kind of a steering system, but that's beyond the point. We'll have videos about that later on. Checked all these different things. Windshield for cracks, chips, and pits. It's good. There's at least 3 chips in the windshield. Didn't say a word. That's fine. I don't really care about that kind of stuff. But the very end here is steering and steering linkage. Steering and steering linkage is very important to somebody. If you can't steer, you have a very big problem, in case you didn't know this. And this mechanic says everything's okay. First of all, he obviously didn't get under the front end at all, because he didn't change the ball joints. Second of all, like I said before when I was doing the video, the steering tie rod ends are pretty well shot. Shot on one side, going on the other side. So therefore, nobody looked at the front end of this thing. And they're trying to tell me, oh, well, they're sitting on his toolbox. He forgot, you know, to put them in. They just flat out didn't do it. And this is a reputable, supposedly, where they sell brand new Dodges at. I mean, right off the showroom floor Dodge. And I'm debating on saying what their name is because I'm that irritated, and I really think that people need to double check things if they've had work done there. Because, you know, how many people out there are like me who are going to climb under their car after somebody did work? I do it every time, and this is not the first time I've had problems similar to this. First time at a dealership, I will say that, but honestly, I never take my cars to a dealership, so that doesn't really mean anything. This is probably the second time I've ever taken any kind of a car into a dealership for any kind of work. So I am very upset. I don't know what else to say. We'll see kind of what happens when I go in. I called them up, I talked to them. They said, you know, bring it in, we'll take care of it, sorry, blah, blah, blah. He didn't say anything about getting the bolt put back into the tow hitch, which also kind of missed me, but I'll make sure they do that. They're going to have to pull that thing completely off. They're going to probably have to drill it out. They're going to have to, you know, do some work to get a bolt in there. So, but it's going to happen. Honestly, there's 2 things on there that had I not, yet again, taken my time to check, which very few people are going to do, it can turn into danger. I mean, ball joints can turn into dangerous situations, and the fact that he didn't look at those ball joints and led me to believe that my steering was all in good shape when it wasn't. If I was some older gentleman driving across the country because he thought he just had a bunch of work done on his car, you know, that can get dangerous, and that's wrong. That's, in my opinion, it's attempted murder in a way. I mean, it could become a point where somebody could die because they didn't do their job. So I'm quite upset. Obviously I am. I need to calm down, relax, and think about what I want to do next. I am going to go in, I'm going to have them do the work, and you guess what? I'm going to bring it back in here and I'm going to look at it again, and we'll probably look at it together on video. But regardless, it's too little too late. You know, sorry doesn't cut it if, like I said, I'm the guy driving across the country and the front end falls apart on you. You know, I mean, even if it doesn't cause an accident, what if you break down in the middle of a, you know, 200-degree desert? I don't know. You know, it happens. Death happens because of those things, and I'm sick and tired of every time I have somebody else do work. Doesn't matter if it's work, you know, construction work, automotive work. Every time, tires. I've had nothing but trouble with tire companies. Everybody is not willing, doesn't want to do a job anymore. Nobody wants to do their job. I'm obviously upset, and it'll probably get somewhat cut, but we'll go from here and see what happens. Well, YouTube, it's a few days later. I've had a chance to calm down a bit, and I'm still pretty pissed off. But I have taken the rig in, and according to their paperwork, they did everything. I've got underneath there and looked. The bolt is back in the hitch, or into the hitch. So that's all taken care of. As far as the front end, they actually put a boot, it appears, according to this. Like replace the boot on that outer tie rod end. So I want to take a better, closer look at that. And they replace the ball joints, which it does appear, unless they just replace the boots. So I need to take a better look at it. Right now I cannot get it in my garage, and I just kind of crawled underneath it out there on the ground and took a look, and everything looks like they took care of it. But quite honestly, it's too little too late. I think I have decided I'm going to call the Better Business Bureau as far as that's concerned. So as far as telling you their name, still haven't decided on what I want to do on that. I think I should, because if you've had work done by these people, you should probably go have it looked at, or go look at it. But on the other hand, I think I figured out. Here's the deal. They told me, oops, it was in the box. But if it was just a oops, forgot to do it, was in the box. Also on this first paperwork I got here, it says, gotta put my old man eyes on, or my young man eyes, I guess is what I should say, because my old man eyes don't work. It says, F23 safety recall. Lower ball joints recall CSN1. Replace front lower ball joints and torqued hardware. No DTCs verified. Proper operation and no concerns. Check. Warranty work, $0.00. So, right there shows that somebody was lying. Either the technician was lying, or, and I don't know for this for sure, so you know, it's not gospel, or the ball joints looked okay, which they did. They looked okay, but regardless, should have been changed. Or the ball joints looked okay. They thought, oh, let's get away with this. We'll charge the next guy for this. Well, yeah, I didn't pay for this work to be done, but you know who did? Corporate Dodge did. Corporate, whatever they are, Mopar, Dodge, whoever their corporate company, the big guy who runs all the stores, said, okay, we'll pay your company to fix these recalls. So they got a check for doing the work. And had they kept those ball joints and put them on somebody else's car, I would assume they would get another check for that work. Just assumptions. I'm not saying they did or did not do that. I'm just saying that's what things seem like based off the paperwork I have. But I am not a lawyer, and I am by no means a real mechanic, according to a whole lot of you out there. So, one of those things. I do think I will be calling the Better Business Bureau and telling them what happened. The other thing, like I said, they did replace the tie rod end ball joint boot the boot on there, which it looks like they did. I couldn't tell if they did on both sides. I can't see one side as well as I can see the other. I could see the one side, and it appears they replaced the boot. But here's the problem. Once those boots go bad and they crack the way that one was on that side, grit, grime, crap gets in there, and even if you clean it out, you never get it all, and it's probably not long for life anyways. Usually once they get that way, usually there's an outlying problem of why that boot broke and died. More than likely it's because it was going bad. So I guess kudos to whoever decided, hey, let's try and make them happy and throw an extra little part in here. But yet again, too little too late, and what they did isn't fixing the problem. It's just maybe making it last a little bit longer, and until I can get to it, you know, all the better. I guess no more grit or grime will go in there, and hopefully they cleaned it and re-greased it before they put the part back on, but who knows. Maybe one day we'll dig into that and find out what it really looks like. It could be perfectly fine. They may have checked that out, but I'm not going to trust them any longer to you know, not make sure it gets done right at some point. So I don't know what else to say. They took care of the problem, but yet again, too little too late. Alright, I think I've talked your ear long enough. If you think you kind of know the area I live in and you've had work at a Dodge dealership in that area, maybe go check your car out. If you think I should tell people what the name of this dealership is, down the road I may. We'll kind of see when I get under the car a little bit better and stuff. At the same time, I probably will have to deal with them for parts and pieces every now and then. Probably not. Honestly, I've been to the dealership 2 or 3 times for parts. Believe me, the parts at dealerships just aren't any better than the parts you get on Amazon, so, to some extent. You know, to some extent. Not anymore. They used to be better parts, but anymore, from the things I've seen and noticed, you're getting the same parts from the same places, in my opinion. Yet again, this is all my opinion, so don't take it as gospel. Anyhow, alright, thanks for watching Junkworks DIY Garage, where I'm proud to say I'm a jack of all, and even though I'm a master of none, what they did was wrong. You all have a good one.